Hey everybody, Matt Mullen with Apollo Acres here. So today I wanted to show you a little bit of our daily routine for feeding and taking care of sheep during the wintertime. Hope you enjoy. So before I go out to take care of the sheep during the wintertime, I like to try to have everything as handy as possible. So I've got my vehicle to bring everything out to them, which I really like the four-wheeler for this task. I've got my hay right behind me. I've got my metal can here full of mineral. And beyond that, all I really need is water. Now, I've got water already out in the field, but if I need to, I can fill up a few jugs of water. I can throw it back in the back of the four-wheeler. I've got a little can here for my mineral, and I can throw the hay on front. And so I'll show you how quick and easy this is. Yes, it needs to be done about every day, but it's not that hard. You'll see. So I usually just put my hay here, right here on the front. Now I'm not going very far, so I don't really need to put straps on this or anything. It'll ride just fine. Then I grab my can that I usually keep on the back. Got my metal trash can here. And these are nice because one, you know, they keep the rain off your mineral or feed or whatever you're gonna put in here. And two, also helps keep the rodents out. So I just get a big scoop with my bucket. Fill up. Now I do keep a bungee strap over this. Just like I said in other videos, we get a lot of wind up here on this hill. So this just helps keep the wind from blowing this lid off. Keep it right in the back. And I think we're ready to go. Let's go for a ride. All right, so as you can tell, the sheep are pretty excited to see me. They get pretty used to this routine every day, so they know I've got food for them. Now, I'm gonna go and throw this bale over the side of the fence, and I'll tell you a little more about it. Now, so you know, I'm not putting this hay in a feeder. I'm just slinging it out on the field for them to eat. Now, a lot of people would say, well, you know, that's a waste of good hay. A lot of this hay is gonna fall apart. It's gonna get in the ground. It's gonna get trampled on. They're gonna pee and they're gonna poop on it. And that's right. However, as I've learned from Joel Salatin, this is a good way to help build up the soil. So yes, I'm wasting some. It's costing me a little bit more, but as they break down that hay bale and they trample on it, they poop on it, they pee on it, that's gonna be some excellent soil come springtime. And we're getting pretty close. This field that we're on right now, this was row cropped for at least 100 years as far as we know. So a lot of the stuff we have coming up isn't the best. It doesn't grow the best kind of forage for the sheep. So we hope that this kind of feeding will help them out. Now, if you're gonna use a permanent feeder, I really like just using, if you're looking for a deal, because a lot of them can be relatively expensive. So what we usually do is we'll get a tote from one of those, you know, those big, they're like 300 to 400 gallon water totes with like the cage around them. So we'll buy them from someone with just the cage. And just the cage makes a pretty good feeder where you can throw the hay bales in and it keeps them off the ground, so it keeps them like out of the water. Ideally, you also throw a cover on it so it keeps the rain off them, it keeps it off the ground, and that's a pretty efficient way to feed hay. But as I've said, what we're trying to do is I'm trying to take a good lesson from Jim Garish here in Kick the Hay Habit, where he talks a little bit about how it's much more efficient to rotate your animals on pasture and let them eat forage from the ground, as opposed to mechanically cutting and baling hay. Just let them eat basically the hay on the stem. Now, we're not there yet. As I said, this pasture needs a good bit of work, but that's something we're working towards. Now, my mineral feeder is kind of out over here, so I'll take you around and I'll show you that. But first, before I do that real quick, I want to mention one other thing. As you notice, I took the square bale and I just chunked it over the side of the fence. And when I'm in a hurry, that's typically what I do. I will say, ideally, you're going in the fence, you're putting the hay down, and you're cutting that twine off and you're pulling that twine out. And I say that for a couple reasons. One, if you don't cut that twine, the sheep have had, as you can tell, I mean, they're just digging their heads in that hay bale. As the hay bale starts to break down, occasionally they'll get their head stuck in that loop of hay bale, and then it'll inevitably eventually get stuck around the back leg. Now they've got something around their neck and around their back leg, and they walk kind of funny, and then I'll have to go out there, grab them, get it out from them, and take it out. So if you're gonna feed them this way, at a minimum, walk around afterwards and pick up all your twine. In a perfect world, you'd be walking it in there, cutting the twine, and removing it as you go. Another thing to keep in mind is if you're gonna be mowing, bush hogging, mowing, whatever you do to your pasture, where you also run the sheep, that twine is notorious for getting caught in lawnmower blades, and that can be a hassle. So at the very least, just go pick up that twine. All right, so you may have noticed I haven't fed them hay yet, or sorry, their mineral, but I brought my bucket. Another good thing to remember before you go into the electric fence, turn your electric fence off. So I'm gonna do that first. Now I'm probably not gonna go all the way in, but I do kind of need to reach over it. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off. And I'm just gonna give them some mineral right here in their mineral trough. And for the winter time, that's about it. I checked their water, they still have plenty. You can see our other videos. We usually just keep, actually you can see it right about there, 50-gallon barrel full of water on a float valve. Now I check it to make sure it's not frozen over or anything like that. But really the daily routine for the feeding, taking care of the sheep in the wintertime, it's really not that bad. So now I'd like to show you a little bit of evidence of why we feed the sheep this way and what it can result in. Let's go. So you saw where the sheep are right now, but now I'm going to show you where they were previously. You can see all this old hay, sheep poop that was trampled down. And admittedly, they were probably here a little too long. Again, this is our journey through this. This is a learning process. We always try to read and learn more, but I want to show you our experience and how we got to the decisions that we made. Let me give you a closer look as to why we think this is the way to do things. So it may be a little bit hard to tell, but I'm gonna do the best I can. So this is our pasture right now through the winter. As you can tell, it's mostly brown dormant grass. And now getting back to the area where we fed. And you see how on the perimeter, there's all this new green grass growth. So like I said, they were probably here a little bit too long. See here's the middle of the area. You can see it's just a lot of matted down hay and poop and everything. But I bet that this is gonna grow excellent in the spring. Now I'll probably even come through and throw some extra seed on here, but this is just full of extra carbon from the hay, sheep poop, sheep urine, and I think that's going to be great growing material. And so, like I said, lots of green growth right here along the perimeter of where we had them. And you may also see we've got a good number of these little twines here, so I've got to come back through and pick all these up so they don't get caught in the lawnmower or suck around a sheep. But this seems to be like a good proof of concept for me right around this area. So much stuff growing green here in the middle of winter. We're in mid-February in Alabama right now. So I think if we rotate a little more frequently, I think this will end up being a really good system for us. We just gotta keep at it, rotate them a little more frequently, and we'll see where we end up. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you learned something and enjoyed it. If you'd like to support this channel and us making more content like this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you'd like to follow us on X or Instagram, where we're most active, you can find our handles in the video description below. We'll also have a link to our website and many of the products and hardware that we use here on the farm that work so well for us. See you next time.